Welcome to the Peak Impact Mentorship, your partner for personal growth. If you're here for the very first time, I would encourage you to click on the subscribe button so that your growth path is not hindered by anything. And if you've been coming regularly, I would congratulate you and I would welcome you and I'll encourage you to keep coming here so that your growth is not stopped. Today, a topic which I've chosen is so difficult to express in words because I'm talking about imagination. Now, how do I put in words imagination? And that too, when I come from an engineering background, putting things on imagination is not that easy. So what I did was, I'd been preparing it for more than a month now. I had my own personal experience. Then I brought some reference books and I referred more than 4 different books, some technical books from medical science and some books on this literature which is talking about imagination. So it will be a mix of both. So I'll talk out to your logical brain also, I'll talk to your emotional brain also, so that we can do justification to this topic. So let me start this topic with a story. The story starts in the year 1886, wherein a doctor who was at the verge of retirement, his name is John Stith Pemberton. So he met a person in a pharma shop, and this guy, they had a lengthy discussion for almost an hour. And after the discussion, this doctor came out and he went to his buggy, which is nothing but a tonga, a horse-driven cart, and he brought certain things in his hand. He had 2 things basically. One, he had a wooden paddle, and another, he had a kettle. And that kettle and paddle, he gave it to him, and this person took out $500. Remember, in 1886, $500 is a huge amount. So he comes up with this dollar and he gives to him, and then the doctor writes certain things, a formula in his slip, and give it to him. And then he goes away. This kettle eventually become a magical product. Ideally, this kettle, this doctor was supposed to give him a formula to how to cure headache and how to rejuvenate somebody. But the person who took this formula, he was really creative. You know what he did? I'll go through a little bit story and to make you understand. He brought up something to it, and this kettle became a gold mine for him. Question is, how come a kettle become a gold mine? You know what? This kettle consumed maximum number of sugar canes. This kettle consumed maximum number of glass. So it created employment to sugarcane industry. It created employment to glass industry. As a matter of fact, there was a time of depression. And during that time, this kettle became a gold mine. You know what this kettle created? I am sure, irrespective of which country you are in, Coca-Cola is a brand which you are aware of. The story of Coca-Cola began with this kettle and a paddle and just a simple formula. But the formula was not good enough. Along with the formula, he added a secret. You know what was that secret? That secret was imagination. He did not saw just a rejuvenating balm. He did not saw a syrup. He saw something much bigger than that. And that imagination is what created Coca-Cola. And that is where I'm coming from. The question is, how does this imagination work? There are 3 terms which I will explain you today to explain this concept. The first term around this concept would be desire. Okay, and I'll tell you a 6-step process of a desire. Then there is a power after, once you have a desire, there need to be a planning. And for the planning, you need certain auto-suggestion, subconscious mind. So we'll talk about multiple things. And I'll go step by step. So first what I'll do is, I will talk about the emotional component. And in the end of this discussion, I will create an analogy with the medical science, so that it do not look theoretical to you. The reason why I'm saying you this, for me to digest this concept took me more than 6 months, because the book which I'm talking about is a world-renowned book. The book's name is Think and Grow Rich. When I read it for the very first time in December 2008, trust me, though I was very impressed by the book, but 80% things I could not connect with it, because it was talking about desire, it was talking about auto-suggestion, it was talking about subconscious mind, and I said, what a crap. I couldn't connect, to be very honest. But then when I read it in more detail, I realized all successful people are doing the same thing. So that's how we'll begin with. So first let us start with a desire. What is desire and what is wish? Desire is basically, there are 6-step process which this book recommended, and it is not a theoretical thing. Trust me, I applied it. The first step of the desire, this book says, is a very simple step. What it says is, fix a precise thing in your mind. What does it mean? The book categorically said, most of us, let's say I ask you, do you want to be rich? You say, yeah, I want a lot of money. Now the lot of money has no quantification. What do you visualize lot of money? So the book categorically says, let's say I want to open one day a company. A company has no specific number. It doesn't have any specification. Somebody says, I want a big house. Big house again has no specification. So let me explain it in terms of house. So when you say you want a big house, let us define it. Okay, the house need to be in some prime area in Bangalore. Let's say I'm in Bangalore, so I should want a house in a prime area in Bangalore. Whichever prime area, let's say it is HSR layout or BTM layout or anything, which Sarjapur, we talk about that. Prime area. Second thing, let us define land area. Area is, let's say we talk about 5,000 square feet land I want to build my house. How many rooms I want? I want minimum 6 rooms, 3 kitchen and further bathrooms. Specification of the room has to be clear. Which color of the building I want. Now that is where an engineer is in trouble. Visualizing these many things, trust me, is difficult, very difficult. That is what, and then same thing I said, put in terms of money. So when I put this idea, I have to extrapolate. Let's say I am talking to you in 2019. In 2019, in any of the prime locality in Bangalore, land prices are more than 10,000 rupees per square feet. It means if I am talking about 5,000 square feet, do you know what we are talking about? We are talking about 5 crore rupees just for land price. Then you talk about build-up cost. So he says, put exact number on a thing, then it works out. The first step of the desire is whatever you want. You want to become athlete, you want to become, so you have to decide, okay, I want to get a gold medal. You cannot say just I want to be the best athlete. There's no best word in the market, you know. You have to be very specific. The first thing is be precise about what exactly you want. Define it properly. Finally, this definition has to be quantifiable. That's the first thing. Second step of the desire, he gives you a 6-step analogy to actually accomplish the desire. Second step is, once you have defined it, now identify what are you willing to give up. Now what does it mean? Take an example, I started my entrepreneurship career. So I wanted to become an entrepreneur. So I was doing a job. So then next question comes, what are you going to give up? So I realized I have to give up my part-time hobbies. I was playing guitar for happiness. That I have to give up. I have to give up the desire to watch cricket. Because if I keep on watching cricket, if I keep on doing everything, and finally along with the job, how will I build my business? So second point is, what are you willing to give up? Write it down. So I wrote it down. I am willing to give up my hobbies which are not giving, which is not rather helping me to accomplish my lifetime goal. Then I found out, after that, the third step is write down on paper exactly what you want. If you just, most of the time we think. In fact, there was a study being conducted in Harvard University way back in 1940s, I think, where what they did was they gave a question paper to all the graduates who passed out from that university, and they just asked them few questions. The first question they asked them was, do you know what you are going to do after passing out from college? Second question, do you have a plan how to do it? Third question they asked, have you written down somewhere this plan? And fourth, what is the deadline? Do you know what was the result? You will be surprised. We are not talking about some small college. Harvard University is the world's #1 university, and the graduates who are passing out from that university, what do you think will be the ratio? Before reading the answer, my assumption was probably 80 to 90% people would have given the answer. But I was shocked. When I read it, I saw only 5% people wrote it down, had a clear-cut roadmap, and they had a deadline. Only 5% people. Smear 15% people at least had a clarity, but they never wrote it down. And other 80%, they have no idea. They are just like a kite. Wherever the wind takes, they will go. And that is not a good scenario. As a matter of fact, I was in the same 80% in 2008, because if somebody would ask me, Vijay, what do you want? I want a good life. And what is a good life definition? God knows, just a good life. And that is the problem. So this is why it is so difficult. So till now, 3 steps I have decided. Number 1, what exactly do you want? Please write down specification in minute details. Second thing, what are you willing to give up? Third thing, put it down on paper. Fourth thing, put a deadline. You cannot just have, I want to have a one-day house. You know, the biggest misery of human life is they are not having the courage to put a date to it. If you don't believe it, try putting a date on anything. Suddenly you will see there is emotional changes in your life. Why? Because date will force you to do a lot of things. Then, 5th step is, most importantly, create a definite plan for it. Detailed plan. So first, a detailed analysis of what you want, then a detailed analysis how will you get it. So taking an example of my entrepreneur venture, I exactly wrote it down. Okay, this is what I want. My final outcome is this. I wrote down financially what I want, personal family life what I want, as a health what I want. I wrote down 4 to 5 goals in different segment, family, health, and wealth. All these things I wrote it down. Retirement plan. Once I wrote it down, then exactly I told already that I took out, I will give up my pleasures, unnecessary hobbies, I'll get it done and I'll focus on my growth. Then what happened? Deadline was put. My deadline which I put was, before my son goes to school. We had a son at that time. He was born in 2011. Our first child was born in 2011. So I wrote a deadline by the time he goes to school, which was 2003 years. Mostly children start going to school. So by 2014, I have to come out of my job. That's what I wrote. Do you know what happened? And then I also wrote a detailed plan. How are you going to do? So I wrote a detailed plan. Job will continue because I cannot quit my job. Along with the job only I have to build a business. I don't have capital. Slowly I'll build it up. And then I step by step put time commitment, everything I did out. And trust me, February 5, 2014, I came out of my job. Is this something I did a great thing? No. This book I read in 2008. A lot of you read also, but very few actually apply. Now I am a teacher now. From long time I've been teaching entrepreneurship to people. What I found, they all like what I say. But the problem, you know what they face? They never do it. They like it, they clap it, many times they make notes also. And there's a study in this also that 90% people who make notes, and you may not be one of them, so don't worry about it. 90% people who make notes, they never read it back. And I hope you are not in that 90%. So what are the steps? Number 1, write down exactly what you want. Number 2, what are you willing to give up? Number 3, put it on paper. Number 4, have a concise plan. And then last thing, keep reading this again and again on a daily basis. Put it somewhere in your room, in your bedroom, in your bathroom, everywhere, and see it on a daily basis. Repeat it at least 10 to 15 times a day, so that slowly, your brain start conceiving it. So before you go further, I would say take a break. Even if it is a premiere, take a break for some time. Then go further. Otherwise what will happen? So we'll give a pause of 30 seconds right now for you, so that you can at least assimilate these 6 points, and we'll come back again after 30 seconds. Welcome back. So, I have given the steps. Did you observe I did not give the 6th step? The 6th step is the most difficult step. This is impossible if you are a technical person. The step is, believe that you are in possession of those things which you have written down. That is something which you say, Vijay, this is baseless. This is theoretical. How can I believe on things I am not having? Let me tell you. Anybody who has accomplished anything, he has accomplished that thing twice in his life. You say, what do you mean by twice? I'll tell you how. First, he conceived it in his mind. He believed it. He felt it before having it. And once he felt it, then when his work happens, otherwise work will not give results. So coming to the next point which I told you, right? The first is desire. Along with the desire, if you do not have faith, desire will not come true. That is the reason. Only hard work cannot give you success. So the question is, what is faith? I use this very simple rhyming line. If proof is possible, faith is impossible. This line proves it all. This line says it all. It means you have to believe it before having it, and that is where the faith is written. By the way, let me ask you this. Any of these steps which I said, do they need really hard work? Are they laborious? Do they need sacrifice? No. Just writing down on things and believing it and visualizing it, that also people don't do. You know? Second thing, you don't have to be ridiculous to write it down. It looks like ridiculous, but you don't have to be ridiculous. Write it down as it is. You do not need great amount of education also to do that. Even if you are not IITian, or you might not be even a diploma, or you might not be any educated, just 5th class also if you pass out. Still, these things you can do, isn't it? You can write it down in your own mother tongue. You need not have to write in English. Then, this is not only dreaming, this is not only hoping, this is practical way of accomplishing. So then how do we develop faith? Is the next question. So first, faith is the chemist of your mind. Okay, faith is the chemist of your mind. Faith blended with the vibrations of desire. I repeat again, faith blended with the vibrations of desire convert into reality. It means you have a desire, that is a vibration. Desires are creating a certain vibration. If you have faith, this faith now will convert these vibrations of desire into a reality. Right? So then how is faith actually developed? When you again and again visualize things possessing it, you will have it. Now, I did not read this book before 2008, and somehow I did this unknowingly during my IIT preparation. In my IIT preparation, what I did was, I had 2 brochures when I was preparing for my IIT, the form which I filled, 2 institutes basically had a brochure in which they had an image of IIT. One was IIT Madras, in which they have a Gajendra circle, that famous landmark of IIT Madras, and in IIT Kharagpur they had a big building, which is a tall building having the red color light. Now why am I saying in so detail? That form I filled in 1995, and the 2 images were in my mind for a long time. For a long time. I didn't knew that one day I'll get into both the institute. As a matter of fact, when I prepared, that's a long story, I'll cover in some other talk of mine. I ended up getting admission in both the colleges. I got admission in IIT Kharagpur also. I got admission in IIT Madras also. Why? Unknowingly, I was doing what is the principle of success, that I was visualizing these 2 colleges every night before sleeping. I used to see these 2 images of IITs and I used to sleep whole night. And obviously the hard work was going on. It's not that I was not working hard, but a lot of students were working hard, but they don't visualize success for themselves. That is very important. So faith will come if you auto-saturate your mind. Now let me tell you a very interesting story for that. This story is of 1890. There was a preacher in a church. His name is W. Gonzalez. Now he was not enjoying the education system which was present during that period of time. He used to believe that the education system needed a revamp. They were teaching theory to people, and he believed there should be some practical institute. Remember, we are talking 1890 when there was no engineering college. Okay, so he was a person who was believing that there should be some college which can teach people practical things, where they can apply, they can learn, they can use it, something like that. But he didn't know how to do it. But he was having a desire, so he wrote it down. But he didn't have courage what to do. He realized that he will need minimum $1 million to create an institute like this. Now remember, 1890, $1 million is more than $1 billion. But the $1 million today also has a value. And we are talking some more than, we are talking more than 120 years back. $1 million was more than $1 billion. That time he had the belief. So what he did was, 2 years passed by, just thinking. He was saturating his mind. He had no idea how to do it. Then one day he got fed up. He said, enough is enough. Now I cannot just sit. I have to do something. So first what he did, he applied the same 6-step desire principle. He wrote down exactly how the college should look like, how big the campus he needs. He just wrote it down. Then what he did was, he put a deadline that I will get this wealth, $1 million by next week in my hand. Now you say, man, this is like a movie story. Trust me, it is a real story. The time I give the name, you will say, my goodness, this is how it got started. So he wrote it down, and he published in the media that this sermon of this week will be, if I had $1 million, And he prepared his speech entirely that how I'll shape the future of the nation, how I'll shape youngsters, and he wrote down everything in minute detail, his sermon. And in the whole night, just after writing, he wanted to sleep, but he couldn't sleep. But somehow, he slept for some time. In the morning, he got ready and he went to the church. And the moment he was standing on the pulpit, you know what he realized? He forgot his speech. He did not brought the printout of the speech. Shit, man, what the heck? But then he realized it's too late, he cannot go back. So he just stood on the pulpit, he closed his eyes and he started speaking from his subconscious mind. The thought which is saturated in his mind, he started speaking and he spoke in minute detail how our future will be saved, how youngsters will be saved, how the world will become better when they learn. And while listening to his speech, there was a person who was sitting in the third row from the last, in the right hand side aisle. He started walking. Right after the speech, he started walking. He came near the pulpit and Dr. Gonzalez was now worried. Why is he coming to the pulpit? He came and he introduced himself. He says, "My name is Philip D. Armour and I like what you said. I liked your vision. To prove that I'm sincere in my wishes, I would like to donate you $1 million. Come to my office tomorrow and collect it." This is where the institute, Armour Institute of Technology, was formed. Later on, it got merged with another institute, and today we know it as Illinois Institute of Technology. That is the beginning of the institute. Was he an engineer? No. Was he a doctor? No. That's what I told you. You don't need any of these degrees to succeed. You need a strong desire along with the faith. So this is what we have covered. Again, take some break of 30 seconds and contemplate what I am saying so that we can go to the last section of this discussion. Alright, welcome back. If you're in Premiere right now, 30 seconds is very less a time for you to contemplate. Don't worry about it. Just go through this video right now. But for coming 1 month, you have to do it on a daily basis. So what you should do is, every time when I'm saying a pause, that will be your pause point, and you will go through the assignment, think upon it the way I've given you a worksheet, think in minute detail, then come back to the second section, then come back to the third section. Otherwise, it will be just a lecture and you will get lost in between without even realizing what is the purpose of mind coming to this topic. So we are coming to the topic now, how to inculcate faith. I'll give a simple 5-step formula which I applied in my life to become financially free and come out of job. The first thing what I did was, believe that you have already attracted it, you have the ability to attract. Correct? If you don't believe, nothing will happen, right? You have to believe it. So what I did, I was in my job, I was to go job and I was to visualize, man, in next 5 years I'll be out of my job. In next 5 years I will not be recognized as an employee working in this company. I will do something of my own. For sure I'll come out of my job. For sure I'll not work for anybody in the world. I will be on my own, for sure. I started visualizing it day and night. Initially, do you think I visualized and vibrations were coming? No, I was scared, to be honest. How will it happen? हो पाएगा क्या? पैसे कहाँ से लाऊंगा? कुछ कर पाऊंगा? I don't know this, I don't know that. हजार क्वेश्चन दिमाग में थे. But you know what happened? Once you start thinking, you slowly, day in, day out, start thinking, day in, day out, start thinking. This idea start conceiving. Second thing, because you start conceiving, that is the dominating thought of your mind will eventually become your reality. Note it down. Dominating thought of your mind will become your reality. And the fifth point which I'll tell you is the biggest reason of misery for most of the people. So first point, start visualizing and believe that you have it. This dominating thought, because you are again and again programming your mind, this dominating thought will eventually become your reality. Third point, understand this principle of auto-suggestions. What is auto-suggestions? If your goal, you can speak, let's say I wake you up, you are in the night, midnight or 1 o'clock you're sleeping and suddenly I wake you up. And I told you, when, what do you want? What's your goal? You should be able to speak it without thinking. That is auto-suggestions. Until you go to that level of programming in your mind, you cannot get that thing in your life. Okay? So the fourth step, you cannot quit in between. Okay? If you desire it, you're dreaming it, doesn't matter. Present situation of yours, nothing will change immediately. See, I started my venture in 2008. Nothing conceivable came in my life till 2010. As a matter of fact, till 2010, I was a miserably failure person in my life as far as my entrepreneurship venture is concerned. But what I did, I read this book. I was not willing to quit. I said, man, I will become successful. I will come out of my job. I will set up my business. I don't care. And slowly it happened. The last point is where most of us do the error. Listen carefully. This is where most of us do error. Remember the first line? Whatever is your dominating thought will become your reality. What we found, our dominating thought is of fear. Our dominating thought is of jealousy. Our dominating thought is of anxiety. And that is why that is our reality. Remember what I said? Repeat again. Our dominating thought is what? See, if I tell you right now, you can become financially free, you can become successful entrepreneur, you need not be at the mercy of job in next 5 years. What will you say? Come on, Vijay, you're just trying to motivate me. These are all good, it's not possible. This is your dominating thought pattern. Now tell me, if this is your dominating thought pattern, how in this world can you accomplish ever in your life what you want? This is the most important. So these 5 steps are very, very important thing. Now what happens, these 5 steps, they program your subconscious mind. So it means desire. Now this faith, they have become now a magnetic force in your life. And this magnetic force start attracting towards you those things. Now if you're young, you will believe it. Problem begins when by now you are senior in life, you're 40, 45, you start finding this as theoretical thing. If you're right at the age of 25, you'll say, Vijay, I'll do it. The youngsters believe. They believe and they start doing it, and many times they succeed. But by the time we mature, because of our life experiences, we start becoming skeptic and we don't believe on any of these things. What happens? Problem is we are stopping our own potential. Let me explain you like this. Just take a LAN example of your office. There is a CPU. There are multiple terminals connected to it. Similarly, there is a global CPU through which all human beings are connected. Take it like this, okay? So, whatever thoughts it come, let's say you have a thought right now. Let's say I have a thought I want to kill my manager. Imagine if all the thoughts can come true, what will happen? I'll be in jail right away. Let's say I get some destructive thought, I want to do something like that. Most of the time, human beings have 70 to 80% negative thoughts. So God has protected us with this. How He has protected? Just because you got a thought I want to kill somebody, this thought will not come true. But how will God know whether this is a desire or this is just a frustration? He doesn't know. God doesn't know anything. It's a command. It's like a CPU. So let's say you start selling every day. I want to kill my manager. 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 What happened now? Now this thought becomes a reality. It goes from, it's like a field which God has protected you. So it goes from that field and it starts going to the ether. The moment it go to ether now and it goes, now they know, man, you want to kill him or whatever is your desire. So that's what it, so it means the faith will go into auto-suggestions mode in this process. So if you repeatedly believe it, speak it, believe it, believe it, then God knows that this is not a single thought, this is His purpose of life, whether good or bad, that you have to decide. Brain, subconscious mind don't understand any of these things. What subconscious mind understand is, मैं तुम्हारा गुलाम हूँ, I am your slave, ask me what you want. What you ask is good for bad, you decide. That is the power of our brain. And unfortunately, when I am mentoring thousands of people, what I found, people unknowingly are asking disaster in their life. They are asking, मेरी life में कुछ अच्छा हो ही नहीं सकता. They are asking, some of them say, you don't understand, my family life can never become better. And they say it so strongly with such a strong emotion that God starts believing, oh, this is what He wants. That is the cause of our misery. So we have covered desire, we have covered faith, we have covered subconscious mind. And let me tell you a historical example, few historical examples I can give you. If you're in India, we are talking to India right now, we are in India. So in India, Mahatma Gandhi, one of his favorite books is Think and Grow Rich, and he has applied this principle for his freedom. He used to visualize that India will be free one day, despite when he was in jail, despite when he was being imprisoned, but he was believing that our country is free, and he used to visualize it so strongly that the whole country started aligning with his vision. Thomas Alva Edison, he believed it. He strongly believed. When he was failing, he one day believed that electricity can create illumination. He believed it. You talk about any sportsman, he believed it. Everybody who is getting success are believing it. That means what? This is not a theory. Now, let me come to, I'll give a very small poem to understand. The greatest, it's in your worksheet. Please read your worksheet right now. The greatest achievement was, at first and for a time, but a dream. Greatest achievement at first and for a time was nothing but a dream. The oak sleeps in the acorn. The bird sits in the egg. And in the highest vision of the soul, a working angel steers. Dreams are the seedlings of reality. Awake, arise, and assert yourself. You dreamers of the world, your star is now in the ascendancy. It's a great poem. It is in your notebook. Read it. Visualize it day in, day out. You will get a lot of positive energy. Few more lines of inspiration I can give you. Success requires no apologies. Success requires no apologies, and failure permits no alibis. Second, every failure brings with it the seed of equivalent success. Third quotation, which is very interesting. Practical dreamers do not quit. So now this was the emotional part of the story which I explained you. Because now it looks theoretical, isn't it? Desire, you have a desire. You have to think again and again. Even if you don't have visualize, you have it. It looks so theoretical. Trust me, if you're like me, you'll say this is baseless. Come on, Vijay. This looks good, but it's not true. So now let me come to medical science to prove you. Okay? Search in Google. There is a world-renowned medicine professor, Herbert Benson. Okay? He has done research on human psychology. And he was amazed. The reason he was amazed, he used to give medicine to patients. Some patients were getting cured by the same medicine with the same symptom, and some patients were not. And he was really curious, then how come these patients are getting cured? These are not getting cured, same symptoms, same medical report, some are not. So he really started digging into the subject. And what he found was, in 1975, I think he wrote his first book. And the book he wrote was the book on relaxation response in 1975. And in 1979, he wrote one more book which I read recently, The Mind and Body Effect. You can buy them, and I can give you a summary of that book which I understood. So in that, he did a lot of research. He came across a witch doctor in Africa. And what he found, this witch doctor used to have a reputation that he can cast a vision on you and he can cast some spell. And let's say if I tell you, you will die, you will die. That sort of image he has created of himself. And once in a while, this witch doctor will get annoyed. So what he will do is, he will take the skull, the bone, and something, and he will imagine, so I am the witch doctor, and I am seeing you, and I am saying, you are going to die. So he just do some mantras, he chants some mantras, and he puts, and this guy start focusing on this, and he start believing that this spell which he has casted on him is going to come true. And then he said, you will die. And he was surprised. The person started feeling suffocation. He started feeling there is no more air, and he used to die. Actually, there was no medical symptom of his any disease, but he died. He couldn't believe it. Trust me, he couldn't believe it. And he's a medicine doctor, so there's no way he could have believed it. Then what he did research on human psychology further. What he did was, he did there's a very famous medicine, ipecac, and it creates vomiting sensation. So what he did was, he tried to do certain experiment on the gestation. So what he did was, he put a balloon in somebody's mouth. Because of balloon, the gestation frequency reduced, and he was able to measure the gestation because of this vomitings were coming. So what he did was, in that experiment, so he was able to see how to create artificial vomiting and what is the gestation frequency. Then he knew how to create. So what he did was, there's a patient who was pregnant. A pregnant lady came and he gave her medication. He told her this is ipecac and this medicine will create vomiting for you. And he gave it to her. And she felt vomiting right away. Next day, same lady came again for further checkup. And he said, today I'll give you a medicine, which is very powerful medicine. And this medicine will help you not to get vomiting for a whole night. You will actually get vomiting next day. You will be surprised, he gave the same ipecac. Yesterday he gave the same ipecac which was getting vomiting. Today he gave the same ipecac but with this message, that this will not create any vomiting sensation in your life at all. To his surprise, the lady never felt any vomiting. And she exactly felt vomiting in the morning. And then he realized there is something related to human psychology. And in fact, if you go to scripture, there's a time when Lord Ram was once visiting his kingdom and he said, he found a lot of people are sick. He asked to his Ved Vyas, his Guruji, he said, Guruji, why there is so much of health problem with people? Why people are sick? What is the problem? You know what Ved Vyas said? Ved Vyas said a very simple logic. He said, you know what? The disease begins in your mind. Once it begins in your mind, it gets dominated in your subconscious mind, and from there your physical body gets decomposed. So what did I connect it now? Previously started with this, what Napoleon Hill said. Then I brought some research with you in terms of medical science, and then I brought scripture on you. All of them are talking same. Unfortunately, we are not aware of it. So today I have given awareness to you. So if this is the reality, now let me ask you a question today onwards. Will you visualize any negative in your life any further? Do you want that in your life? So the question is now, what do you visualize? So this last portion will take another 10 minutes. Before that, take a break and contemplate all this data, how desire works, how faith works, how subconscious mind works, so that the last 10 minutes we can concentrate on the finally what you can do for your future. Great talking to you. So welcome back. So now let me come to the final section. What should we visualize for our future? Right now, my first suggestion to you, don't worry about the present. Visualize whatever best you can visualize. So when I started in 2008, what I visualized was, I will be financially free in next 5 years. How? We'll figure out later on. I wrote it down. Okay. I want to have family time enough with my family. I should go and experience the world. I want international trips every year. I want to be a public speaker. I want to write books. I want to impact the world for positivity. I want to create some significance in somebody's life. I wrote it down. That point in time, what I was doing, by the way, if you see my profession, that time I was working in Qualcomm, working as an electronic engineer, designing circuits. My wife is a dentist, she's a doctor. Whatever I wrote down, are they matching it? That's where your subconscious and logical mind stops you. But I didn't do it, because I read this book, I said, if he's telling, let me write down at least. Once I wrote it down, then as the book suggested, I started visualizing. So what I visualized, I'm standing in an auditorium, I'm speaking where there are millions and thousands of people. That time YouTube was not there for sure. So I was just visualizing, I am reaching out to as many audience as possible. Every night I have to visualize, okay? Second thing I have to visualize, I am traveling across the world. What I realized, passports are not meant for address proof. Passport's purpose is to, have visa stamps on it. So I realized my passport is filled with visas of multiple countries. I started writing it down. I'm staying in a big enough house. When I say big enough, I was not having courage to write down. So I wrote it down. In a prime area in Bangalore, at least I want 5,000 square feet house in land area, and I want to build up an independent bungalow. Is it come true till now? No, it has not come true till now. Why? Somehow I could not visualize it so strongly that I can get it, to be very honest with you. Some I have got already. So then what I realized, that I am no more in job. By 2014, I will not be in job anymore. I am running my own business. That's what I visualized. Then what happened? For that, personality was not matching. So I realized I'm a very good person in terms of relating with people, in terms of leadership skills. I started visualizing. None of these things I possessed at that time, to be very honest. Then I started myself associating with positive people. Why? Trust me. If you're watching this video and tomorrow you go to your colleague and start talking about all this thing, you know what will they do? First thing they will do is they start laughing at you. They start pulling your leg. So I realized one thing. I don't have to talk about this to everybody. I have only talked about somebody who is sensible, who has life's mission. So the most challenging part in this world is to finding like-minded people who can keep your spirits high. So that's the peak impact mentorship came into picture. So I came across a very strong mentorship program in which there were some like-minded people who were just like me in job. They were doing their job, but they were also visualizing big things. The weekend they were focusing on building their business. Working days they were working with their job, and I started associating with these people. And I said, man, this association will take me further. And slowly what happened? By the time 2014 came, I came out of my job. And today, you know what is the best happy news for me? My happiness is this, that because of my knowledge, I am also able to create at least 500 people who are making 20 to 30,000 rupees per month. And that's the biggest happiness. So what am I different than you? No different. I came in Bangalore, just like you. But one day, I read these books, I started applying it, I got a mentorship program, and I became successful. Same thing is for you. If you are like us, who also need some mentorship program, then I would suggest, you are not alone. We are the Peak Impact Mentorship is there with you and to stand with you shoulder to shoulder to help you accomplish whatever you want. So if you have not subscribed to our channel yet, you should subscribe right away. And the next webinar which I will do will be on a very interesting topic, the mistakes you make about a mistake. Trust me, this is something that will blow off your mind. Why? We were so scared of mistakes, but I'll tell you the mistake you make about a mistake. But before we end, I will end you with a very small poetry. The poem is around auto-suggestions. If you think you are beaten, you are. If you think dare not, you won't. If you like to win, but you think you can't, it's almost certain you won't. I repeat again. If you think you are beaten, you are. If you think you dare not, you don't. If you like to win, but you think you can, it's almost certain you won't. If you think you will lose, you are lost. For out of the world we find success begins with the fellow's will. It's all in the state of mind. If you think you are outcasted, you are. You've got to think high to rise. You've got to be sure of yourself before you can ever win a prize. Life's battle don't always go to the stronger or the faster man. But soon or late, the man who wins is the man who thinks he can. This poem is written in your notebook. Go through it, digest it, and remember, it is you who will make yourself a successful man or an ordinary man or just like that. Whatever you choose is your reality. My purpose was to help you out. My purpose was to share with you some learning from certain books and certain things which I learned from my life's experience. So I've given you few experience of my life. And if this experience can help you, I would like to know if certain things which you implemented in next few weeks, please drop certain comments and I'll try to answer all your comments. If you have certain question, don't hesitate. Our mentors are available. We have mentors from all walks of life. It starts from students. We have students who are successful, they are mentoring people. We have homemakers. If you're a homemaker, don't worry about it. We have somebody from that background also who can mentor you. We have highly professional people, be it doctors, be it lawyers, be it engineers. We have people from all walks of life and our mission is only one. How can we impact your life for a better reason, for a better life, so that you are not at the mercy of anybody in your life? We want you to be self-sustainable. And till now, if you have not subscribed to our channel, don't hesitate to subscribe. Subscribe right away. In a month, we do 2 such educational premieres which will be very helpful for you. And 2020 will be a year of your transformation. Be with me for entire 1 year and you will be surprised by your own potential. It was great talking to you. We'll meet up again somewhere in the end of December with an interesting topic, the mistakes you make about a mistake. And if you have any desire to become successful beyond, this webinar will help you to bust the myth around failures, bust the myth around drawbacks of life, and this will be an impactful event for you. Stay tuned, subscribe to our channel, and I'll see you in the next event. Thank you so much.